back, everybody. You are on the sidelines with the sideline guys. I am Chris, and I'm here with a special guest today, man. We got an OTAS vet, and I just want to say, man, he's the he's the Titans fan that puts the all y'all SoundCloud rappers to shame. I got my boy. Why don't you introduce yourself to the people? What's your name, brother?
Oh man, hey, I thought you had me hit, bro. I was ready, but you know what? It's your boy Dwayne. Y'all know what's up. The Prince of Botch, man. The favorite neighborhood media. Y'all know how to do them intros, man. But yo, your boy's back on the sideline, guys. Man, it's been a minute, y'all. What's up?
Yes,
we got a new look. We got a new host. I'm loving this. Usually they call me the intro guy, but I see what you did there, Chris. That was nice.
Yes, sir. I got a little rhyme. I setting it up, Dwayne. You know, I'm ready. I'm ready to go. I just want to say, man, there's no better time to have you back on with everything that's going on right now, man. We got so much to talk about. Let's start it off with where you're at, man. I know you feel the buzz in the city. What's going on over there in the ATL, man?
In the ATL, okay, man. Let me tell you, dog. Right now, the buzz is crazy out here, yo. Like, people cannot wait till Friday to go to this parade, man. Like, oh my goodness. Cobb County last night alone was just completely, I mean, for people who saw what they showed on TV, fans packed out, Truist Field. They packed it out. They was on the lawn. They was in the stands. I mean, it was like a freaking festival out there. And then that's not even including the Battery, which is the outdoor part of the stadium, where it was just a whole party. I mean, I'm talking about all the Atlanta anthems were played at the end of that game. It was a full party. A lot of people were like, we're not going to work the next day. And you know what? The best way to describe how Atlanta is feeling, all you have to do is think about the 2016 Super Bowl when they lost 28-3. How quiet it was pretty much opposite of that, because today at work felt real dry in a good way. And when I saw people come in, they were like, hey, did you catch that Braves game? Woo-wee, that feels good. I was like, yeah. Smiles in Atlanta, y'all. It's so much joy out here. So, like, yeah, it's a good feeling right now, man. This is a good feeling for the city. I am so happy to see them do it. So happy for all of Atlanta sports, man. I think, personally, this is going to set a domino effect, man. Everybody's looking at the Bulldogs up next. They're like, all right, y'all number one in the country. Y'all undefeated. What y'all going to do? We got a championship. Can y'all bring us a national title? What's up? So It's an exciting feeling, man. And it's a good way I would say it's a great way to end 2021 as far as sports titles are concerned. Like, no better way to cap off 2021 and say, what a year. We've seen, oh my gosh, we've seen the Bucs, Milwaukee win their first championship, right? And now we've seen Atlanta win their first in like 25 years. I mean, what else could you ask for? Oh, I can't forget the Tampa Bay Bucs. Wow. Yep. Even for them, it was
kind of streaks.
Man, this 2021. I'm sorry. 2021 arguably might be the greatest sports year ever in terms of cities. Now that I think about it, man, that's crazy.
Just resurgences everywhere, dude. I agree, man. I was gonna say that I think the craziest thing about this run is hands down the fact that they were the underdog. They were the people that nobody was believing in coming in. They didn't have the best record coming into the postseason at all, but they were able to find a way against the team that everyone hated. Nobody. So this is gonna make them just a bigger baby face, in my opinion. I feel like next year there's gonna be a lot more Braves fans than we heard about this year.
Oh, for sure. I mean, if Derek were here, shout out to our boy Derek, man. It's great to fill in for my boy. He would be the first to tell you that. Just like that year when Atlanta did go to the Super Bowl, when it was like suddenly you saw Falcons flags everywhere. Like, this is one of those moments where now everywhere you go, you're going to see some type of Atlanta Braves symbol. I alone today saw at least a couple of Atlanta Braves gear where I saw shirts, hats, all kind of stuff where I was like, wow, I don't remember seeing any of this on a regular, and I'm like, but all willing, bandwagon jumpers included, if that's you, hey, it's cool, but everybody got to be careful as well. You know what I mean? Because it's like, look, if you wasn't rocking with them beforehand, keep that same energy. Shout out to my boy Mike Jeezy with that. But
Yes,
but it's great to real deal see everybody in the city, and more importantly, the support from the other teams. I always really love when other organizations of other different sports support the organization that's like winning. And I forgot to throw the Chicago Sky in there too from the WNBA. That's why I said another year of just like all these sports teams getting their first championship. It's not like the usual suspects, you know. So it's really cool to see this. And again, I'm happy for the city. I will be at that parade. Hopefully, I can give you guys some live coverage because I will definitely be in the building for that and experiencing that because I've always wanted to experience a championship parade. And we finally get that chance now. So everybody in Atlanta is amped. Cannot wait for Friday. So y'all stay tuned, man. Y'all stay tuned.
Yes,
It's gonna be fun.
sir. I was gonna say I hope you off because you know that party ain't stopping till 8 a.m. on my own end, baby. I
You
had to.
know
It's
it.
only right. It's
That
only
was a
right.
good one. That was a good one. I see what you did, brother. I
Yes,
love that.
sir.
Oh man, I've been bumping those Atlanta anthems literally like all day today. Like today was straight Atlanta from all eras. It was the 90s Atlanta, it was 2000s Atlanta, 2010 Atlanta, and even modern day Atlanta. Like everybody got love for Atlanta today. I'm like, yeah, Migos, bring on Migos, Ludacris, Young Jeezy. Like I was like, bring them all.
All of them.
Future, Freak Nasty, bring them all. Just bring them all. Look,
Yes,
like,
sir.
I love it, man.
It's
I
only
love it.
right, bro. It's only right. Yes,
And
sir.
I got one more shout out before we move on too. I just thought about it. Speaking of the Braves, though, I want to shout out Albies. I want to shout out Rosario for getting the NLCS MVP, and then Solero for getting the MVP of the World Series. And the reason why that's so special is because those two gentlemen were part of a trade from this season. You know, they were guys. A guy like Solero basically morphed into a star because in the previous team with the Kansas City Royals, he was a home run machine, but nobody cared because the team wasn't good.
Yep.
He comes to Atlanta in a trade, and look at him now. Second Cuban MVP in MLB history. And to see how he started it off with the energy just off that first home run, like, dude, he made history. And we know Rosario, same case, he was a trade. Look at what he did. You know,
Yes,
I really love it. It almost feels like the comeback kids kind of thing with this team right now. Like everybody, and then Freddie Freeman, you know, he's our MVP. He's literally last year's MLB MVP for the season. So to see him do his thing and go into a contract year, if this was his last game as a Brave, all I want to say is Freddie Freeman, thank you for your years. You've been serving us since you were 17, doing your thing, grinding it out. And look at you now, man. MVP, and you are definitely a World Series champion. I'd say there's no better way to walk into the sunset. So if he is no longer now Atlanta Brave after this, thank you, Freddie Freeman, for everything you gave the Braves, man. That was awesome.
That was beautiful. And I just want to say too, not only that, he's a mensch, man. Did you see that video that came out just now on Halloween where there was a little kid dressed up? He had his jersey on, and he's like, "Are you dressed up as me?" And the kid saw him. He's like, "Yeah,
yeah."
And he got a picture with him. That was just super dope to see. And like you said, man, these guys all came and delivered in a time where it mattered the most, and in a year where y'all came back from heartbreak, man. Y'all went to Game 7 with the powerhouse, the Dodgers, and y'all was able to make it all the way this year with all the little tweaks, all the little changes you guys made. They all paid off. So yeah, man. Once again, just gotta say funny. Congrats.
Thank you, brother. And I called it too because I said Braves in 6. I'm not gonna lie. I was hoping they was gonna close it out in front of the hometown fans. I'm not gonna lie, that did stress me out just a tad because when I saw that, I was like, oh. Please don't do what you did last year to the Dodgers, only in the championship, right? But like when I saw that they lost the way they lost, I thought to myself, no, you could see, and if you go back and really watch every game of that series, you can really tell Atlanta was the better team. Like people were talking about Houston's offense, but Atlanta was the better team. They had the better pitchers. They had the better outfielders. They had the better bats, I mean, come on now. I mean,
Stepping up to the plate. Yep.
stepping up to the plate and just murdering it with home runs. So like I really felt like they were the better team and they did what they had to do. And man, honestly, the way this team looks, if they keep this core together and they can do this, I honestly think they could do this again, arguably. They may have a little more attention on them, so they got to fight a little more adversity, but I think they could do this again, honestly, man. They might have, it's gonna see what you gotta see what they do. But if they can keep this together, man, they might do this one more time. But in the meantime, I'm just happy for one, man. Thank you,
sir. And in this pandemic era of sports, I find it always fascinating. I know that the narratives of a year back when things were still not full capacity, everyone was saying, you got to bring your own juice. This team brings their own juice every night. Like they come ready on positions. All it takes is getting back in it. So 100%, man. They got a whole bunch of options, and there's a lot of things you guys could do moving forward. So, with that being said, man, we love to talk about baseball here, but the season's over. Let's get down to the new season that's fully started up.
Come on.
A lot of things going on in the NBA. I'm gonna say let's take the time to enter the floor here. I just want to start off by saying, look, man, I know nobody's gonna want to hear this. I know nobody cares about my OKC Thunder. Listen. That's fine. I get it. But I just want to say, don't sleep on Shea because he is on his way, in my opinion, to getting most improved player of the year. Yes. I really think he has a chance of getting it. And man, our development is there. They're not going to be a fun team to watch. Everyone is going to be skipping our games. But if you watch these games, I'm telling you, there's a lot of times where you see the growth and you see that there's some potential here. So I know not everyone's going to be tuning in, but my Thunder's going somewhere. It's not going to be this year. Not going to be next year.
Come on.
We coming.
Brother,
but there's so much to talk about, bro. You got on the hoodie. Why don't you leave me off here?
You know what? Let me say, because I can relate to you, brother. We were in your position not that long ago, okay? I'm a faithful Chicago Bulls fan, man. And since the D Rose era, when we had that rebuild phase, it was tough trying to keep up because it was like, man, here we go. Like the rebuild phase is never an easy phase because nobody's gonna want to watch you because you're not good or you're okay at times, but you're not really contending, right? Because you're in a rebuild phase. You may have a cool piece or two in there. And then it's like, man, we got a young team that's exciting, but they're not getting over the hump because they're not quite ready and they're still in that oven trying to cook and they're still rebuilding it. So like that was us not too long ago, man. And I'm looking at this team now and I just want to say those offseason moves showed me that Chicago trying to win now. And I love this core they have built now with Big Vujicic coming out of Orlando from that trade and then having DeMar DeRozan, who's out there looking like, whew, boy, like he just had a rebirth or something. Because I don't know where this DeMar DeRozan was in San Antonio. I kind of followed him a little bit in San Antonio. He wasn't scoring like that. He was scoring, but not like he's doing in Chicago. It's almost like Michael Jordan's spirit kind of decided to say, I'm gonna come up in him a little bit and just hit him with the mid range. You know what I mean? Because Jordan wasn't a super 3-point shooter either. People forget that. Like Jordan could shoot threes, yes, and he developed shooting threes over time. But his art was always that mid range and being able to take it to the hole. With, of course, dunking, layups, all that, the whole thing. But at the end of the day, man, like he out there looking real good. And then Zach LaVine is Zach LaVine. I need I say more about that guy. But the real key factor here to me, and I was so excited when we got him, it threw me off. But when Lonzo Ball became a Chicago Bull, I said to myself, now this is interesting because that guy, we've seen him bounce around. We know what the LA hype he had, right? And how that was not really the best light on him because it's like, oh, he's deemed to be the greatest of all time, this and that. Didn't work out in LA. And then the LeBron effect kind of took its effect, and you know how that goes. But goes to New Orleans, didn't really work out that well either over there. So here he is. And I feel like this is a perfect fit for him. This seems to be a good core for him. They're having fun. They're loving it. They're doing their thing. And I think that's why I say with your OKC Thunder, man, it's going to be like that. Like it's in that phase where it's tough right now, But before you know it, one off season it just clicks, and next thing you know, you're excited because you're like, yo, we just got this key piece, that key piece. Before you know it, man, everybody and their mom. Yes, brother.
Yes, sir. And I was gonna say, man, how do you feel about Zach LaVine's MVP chances? I feel like the way he's been balling, it's a real conversation.
It is. You know what? I think honestly, I think it's possible, and I do mean real possible, that Zach LaVine could get MVP. I was actually leaning toward DeMar DeRozan because him and DeMar DeRozan are kind of going back and forth for that. Because DeRozan had that 37-point performance the other day, and I'm like, man, he almost playing like he want to try to go for an MVP or something. But it could go either way. I wouldn't be surprised if both men ended up in that category at some point. Like I said, super early to tell. We'll see how it keeps going as the season progresses. But they definitely on track, and the way the record already shows that, they're definitely. I know a lot of people were like, oh yeah, they'll be a 6 or 7 seed, but I knew just looking at this core, like I was like, nah, this is like top 5 type roster right here. Like they got a young, exciting bench, and then they got this type of core that's a mixture of like super youthful, but you got veteranship because DeMar DeRozan, I want to say, is him and Vucevic are like the oldest 2 of that core. And even with them, they're not that old. They're literally like early 30s. So like they're still very capable. They're in prime status, you could argue. So it's yeah, man, I'm excited. And like I said, with your OKC Thunder, man, listen, if it helps, I have on my 2K, my player got drafted to the OKC Thunder. So if it's anybody that can relate, I can relate, brother. I'm
just saying, bro. You bringing a hope back. You bringing a hope back. I was gonna say though, man. What else around the league do you find interesting to watch right now? I know that there was some picks that we made here on this show.
Yes.
I know that a lot of people's been coming at me for this, but I don't care. I'm sticking with it. My finals prediction is Warriors versus Sixers. The East side ain't looking too good right now, but the West side's looking, I don't know, it's looking wide open, man. What do you think about the league right now? Any sort of talking points you want to jump into?
Whew, there's so much, man, because I'm such a basketball guy, man. I'm excited. I've been excited ever since the Warriors kind of broke up that core they had with KD and all of that, I should say when KD left. Basketball felt fun again because everybody knows we all was just waiting for that core because it just wasn't fair. It was like, man, you got Steph Curry, and then you got Clay, then you got KD. Like, nah, man, that's just unfair. That's like putting the game on super hard and the computer's just beating you to a pulp with ease.
That's
right?
a West All-Stars team right there. That's not even a team. Word.
Exactly. So since then, I've been excited, and like you said, I love the West, but I really love the East. Obviously, being a Bulls fan, I really love the East. And I've always said I wanted the East to return to glory and get back to that point of being like contending. And to see how many top teams in the East, you got Derek Celtics, right? You got the 76ers. They got some drama right now going on. Their story is interesting for the wrong reasons, but it's still what you want. You want drama like that sometimes because you're like, what are they going to do next? Is he going to get traded? Is what's going to happen? It's a week-to-week thing and a day-to-day that keeps you interested. I love the way the Miami Heat are looking right now. I'm not going to lie. I thought they were overrated with their free agency moves. I really did. I thought they're overhyping that, but they are living up to their hype really well. And arguably they're the best defensive team in the league right now because they've been shutting down a lot of high-scoring teams. Shout out to my boy Jonathan, his Knicks. I'm a D Rose fan for life. I love my boy D Rose, so I always ride with the Knicks because he's on there. My favorite coach of the Bulls next to Phil Jackson, Coach Thibs, doing his thing. They all, it's cool to see the Knicks show that they're not just a one-hit wonder. They're showing they're still consistently good. And then, like I said, man, the East is just so deep at this point because you still can't overthink your Indiana Pacers. You can't
turning champs, baby. The Bucs.
The Bucs for sure. The Bucs are the Bucs. The Hawks Shout out to
Yeah.
Atlanta. Again, that domino effect, man. I mean,
There's a buzz. There's a
it's
buzz
a
in the air.
buzz.
Yep.
It's a buzz. And I'm pretty sure Trae Young is seeing that and like, okay, all right, cool. You know what? Now we got to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, and they came close last year. I mean, this last season, let's not forget, y'all, the Hawks came out of nowhere and they got to the Eastern Conference Finals. And I mean, arguably, you could make a case if Trae Young had not gotten hurt. I don't know, man. They probably could have got past the Bucs and got to the finals. And I think if they would have got there, I honestly think they would have beaten Phoenix. I really do. I think Atlanta would have beaten Phoenix, and you could have seen the Hawks as your defending champs. But they're a young team. Let's see. They're looking good still. So they're only going to get better from here. So we'll see what happens. But so many headlines. But I really would say this Ben Simmons and just news is really what's most intriguing through it. Like until he's out of there, it's just going to continue to be like, all right, man, what's happening this week in the Philadelphia 76ers lifestyle?
Literally. And speaking of, the latest news with that has been that a lot of his teammates are getting really frustrated because although he keeps citing, having the issues as far as not being mentally ready to go back and compete, they were saying, they don't feel like he's doing all the things that he could be doing to put himself in that position. And this was something that Derek and I were talking about last week too, man. It's like, you don't want to ever be put in a position where you're trying to say that, you're lying or anything like that, because mental health is mental wealth. Like that's the most important thing at all for you to be able to function. But at the end of the day, I agree with that to a certain extent. If you're not meeting with the people you need to meet with, and you're not working towards those things as if it was a physical rehab where you're making that PT every day, it's the same exact thing. And if his teammates are feeling that way and calling him out about it, it could only spell danger for the future, man. The situation is toxic. It's been toxic. I feel like to a certain extent, the reason why I kind of silver lined this whole thing is like they've been getting the production from a lot of guys that needed to step up because of this, including Seth Curry. Seth Curry's been balling.
Yes.
And that's important. That's important for them to have because you already have the top 3 player in Embiid. I say this all the time. Embiid is a top 3 player in this league right now because he does stuff that nobody else does. Ayton doesn't do what he does. And the fact that he's able to stretch out to the 3 now too. Once again, I know I'm higher on this team than a lot of people are, but at the end of the day, the new storylines and what's coming out, it only spells more drama moving forward. But I hope personally that they just able to keep moving in stride. And then if he does come back, it could only be an addition.
Love it. I agree. And it's funny because now that when you think about it, we'll get to it when we get to that talk. But there's a very similar storyline in another sport that's going on, kind of sort of like this Ben Simmons storyline a little bit. It's got its little similarities to it. I know you know what I'm talking about, and I know the people know what we're talking about, but we'll get to that story in its own right. Yeah. But, man, this is definitely something that's hanging its head over the NBA for sure. And until they get rid of him or whatever they decide to do, all season, this is something we're going to be talking about. And so I'd say no matter what teams are doing well and flourishing, no matter what players are flourishing, it's just going to be the Ben Simmons show right now until this man is in a new destination. But I am curious though, what now, even with what happened leading into this, you still had Warriors 76ers as a what's the story behind that, brother?
So, man, we see this every year with the East. In my opinion, I agree. A lot of people are always saying, the East is the worst conference. I would say that for the most part, in the past has shown that a lot of the upper echelon teams in the West have been better when you look at the records head to head. But this season, you see that there's an argument for these East teams, A. And B, I feel like historically, no matter what, even when these teams end up facing one, whether it's 3 versus 6 or 7 versus 2, these games are competitive. It's not a blowout. It's not this huge gap in skill. There's still competitive teams ready to come and play every single night. So I feel like when it comes down to the East, it's a little more of a room for a Cinderella story. There's a little more of you zig where you should have zagged, and now you lost the series. and now you end up with a more of a favorable matchup. And I feel like the fact that they have that dominant big that can go inside and out, it just a matchup nightmare for almost every team in that East. So I just thought, who
Yeah.
knows? Maybe they get the right matchups going in and they end up coming up on top at the end. Who knows?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm agreeing, man. It's been tough for me to really try to decipher who I see in the finals. A lot of times I'm not too good with doing it like beforehand. When it was kind of predictable in that phase of, oh, it's just going to be the Cavs and the Warriors, or it's going to be the Miami Heat and the Spurs, right? When it was that predictable phase, it was like, well, we know who's going to the finals, right? But now it's like everything is such a toss up because you can make a case Milwaukee could go back. You could, you know, Derek Celtics are kind of struggling a bit, but they're getting it together at the same time a little bit. Like it's a long season for them to figure out the kinks of what's going on. It's one of those things where they could easily go too. If they work out whatever's getting worked out right now, they could easily go. And they have a new coach system going on there, so you never know. Like this new coaching system comes out of nowhere. You may, if depending, shout out to my New York fans out there, the Knicks have made a case where they could arguably go too, So I mean, it's so much of a toss up. The West is one of those things. I could see the Warriors being a front runner right now because everybody is quick to say Lakers, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, to me, I think the Lakers have it because of the fact that it's that veteranship, and part of me does want to actually have them in the finals right now. But I could arguably say if any team has a chance at beating the Lakers to get to the finals, right now is definitely the Warriors. That Steph and LeBron rivalry never seems to stop. So I could definitely, to me, it depends on what Clay looks like when he comes back. Mm-hmm. If Clay is the same Clay we remember, or even somewhat kind of like when KD came back, we were wondering, okay, is KD going to be the same KD? For the most part, he has been the same KD. He's still able to do his thing, score like a machine. So that's good news in the case of Clay, to where it's like, okay, all you got to do is spot up, shoot, play defense. Shouldn't be a problem, right? Mm-hmm. It's Clay we're talking about. So if Clay is remotely the Clay we remember of old, I know it's been 2 seasons since we've seen him, but if he's the Clay of old, trust me, guys, it's a dangerous thing right now. And that's not even counting Wiseman when he gets back from injury. Their number 1 pick from Memphis. So it's like when he gets back, you got him too as a big, a young, promising big. So there's that. And sky's the limit for this Warriors team. So that's actually a real good sneaky pick. But I personally would say that I do have the Lakers because of the veteranship. I know people are saying they're the oldest team, this and that, but I do. When it matters, we know when the playoffs start to hit, the game slows down, which always plays in a veteran's favor. Mm-hmm. And I mean, when you got a bunch of veterans like what the Lakers have, man, you already know what that spells. Like,
for sure,
Carmelo knows what he's gonna do coming off the bench. Westbrook knows what to do as far as setting somebody. Rondo, playoff Rondo, hello, you know how he does. Exactly. So I don't know, man. I know it. Regular season's always tricky, and it does matter. Now, I do think the way they're playing now, I don't know what seeding they're going to be though. I can't say they'll be number 1 seed, and they could easily be top 5. But again, the West is so competitive. There's no telling. But I will say, if they get in there, that veteranship is going to take them from where they need to go. Sure, but the East, I can't call the East yet. I don't. It could be anybody. So like, I wouldn't say 76ers though. Not with this drama. If they don't get rid of him anytime soon, I don't see them going right now until they get rid of that Ben Simmons stuff. Like, I just don't see it.
And for me, I find this debate so interesting. Shout out to Nat, our native home girl on this OTS Media fan.
Yes.
She's loving this Warriors talk right now. But I just have to say, like, whenever it comes down to this team right now, I feel like in a way, this Clay injury has come at a good time for them. And I look at this like the same issue with the Sixers, where he's coming back from this, but it allowed the other players on this team to really show who they are, and that's important when you have a deep team in any conference.
Mm-hmm.
That matters, and the fact that they have young guys that are coming in, whether it's Kaminga, Poole has shown up and been balling out. You
Mm-hmm.
got other draft picks too that are in the G leagues getting that work in. It's just the fact that they're bolstering their team in such a way and they're getting production out of guys that are tend to be second unit guys, that only spells much better for them later on in the season when they get to come off the bench and still sort of feel that same spark as they did when they were starting. So just a fun debate. Me and Derek were talking about this too. We feel like, well, I said this, I feel like this Lakers team kind of reminds me of that Nets team where they traded for Paul Pierce and they traded for Garnett. I know it's not the same scenario, but you got an old vet team, and for me, it's hard for me to see them in that spot because
Mm-hmm.
of they got some drama going on too, whether it's between AD and Dwight, or
Mm-hmm.
whether it's the side eyes that Russ gets. Look, I love my boy Russ, man. You
Come
got to
on.
take the good with the bad because when it's good, it's great. But
Mm-hmm.
when it's bad, everyone's giving them side eyes. So I could see some drama playing throughout this season. And I agree. I think their seeding doesn't matter. Wherever they end up, they're going
Mm-hmm.
to be looked at as if they're the team with the home advantage because
Mm-hmm.
they are the ones to beat in a lot of ways. Whenever you have LeBron on your team, I don't
Mm-hmm.
care about how people are playing in the regular season. Playoff LeBron is a real thing,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of how much somebody like me hates to admit that. I think, like you said, it's gonna be up for debate. But I feel like this season, more so than ever that I can remember, there's
Mm-hmm.
so many different teams that you can make a case for, and this is the first couple weeks of the season.
Oh
So
yeah.
exciting
Yeah.
stuff, man.
I'm loving it, man. Shout out to the NBA for the win, man. It's just great to see competitive conferences, competitive teams. It's so much more fun when you just can't predict it. You know what I
Yes,
mean?
sir.
Like you just like, okay, let's see what happens. So
Yes,
uh,
sir. Speaking of, I got two more questions for you, and then we're gonna move on to this NFL picks. All right.
let's do it, brother.
First one, we're still on our NBA stuff. I gotta ask.
Okay.
This team is always in first place, and they found themselves in first place again. You know who I'm talking about. Your Utah Jazz. What
Yeah.
is it? What is it about this team that I can never find myself trusting them? But they always come out and they're 6 wins, 1 loss, leading the
Mhm.
league right now in the West. Why is it that they can always be in first, but yet for some reason we can't get behind them, man? What is it?
Okay. I think I can explain this. So every season, and definitely every span of certain seasons, there's always that one team that manages to do great wonders during the regular season, but then they're just not it when the playoffs come around. So Exhibit A, the Toronto Raptors during the Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan era. In the East, they were always top tier. They would be top three at least, number one, two, or three, killing it, looking great as a duo. And you're thinking, man, good luck stopping that in the playoffs. Playoffs
Mhm.
come around, the LeBron becomes the Toronto killer. Next thing you know, well, we tried, right? Another exhibit. The Atlanta Hawks during the Joe Johnson, Josh Smith era, Josh Childress, and all of that era, known for being a top team. They would always finish like top two, top three. When it came to the playoffs, never got the job done.
Yeah.
Let's see who I can think of in the West that was like that. Let's see. Um, I could argue and say that Carmelo Anthony's Nuggets were like that.
Yep.
Carmelo's Nuggets seemed to do pretty well in the regular season and look like a top tier team with the Kenyon Martins, the Carmelo Anthony's, the Chauncey Billups, or the Allen Iversons, whichever one you want to put in the fray. And you know, same case. They would get to the playoffs, got knocked out by Kobe. So it's
Mm.
just like, or something of that nature. If it wasn't Kobe, it was probably Dirk. Or if it wasn't Dirk, it was, somebody from the West that you could think of that was knocking them out. So this Utah Jazz team is just probably one of those teams that they're incredibly loaded, incredibly talented. I love Donovan Mitchell. I do. I really do. He's a great player. Maybe it's just one of those cases where he just has a crew that can't quite get it done. in the playoffs anyway. You know, you can do it for days in the regular season, but when it matters most, and you know, you could argue that the Trailblazers are kind of the same way because we also saw them in that position before, and you know, they could knock people out. We know what Dame does. He'll knock you out. We've seen that, but it's just like you can't get past the crew that beats you all the time, like the Warriors or the Lakers or, you know, something like that. So just one of those cases, man. It's I think they're just that team that,
Sure.
you know.
And I feel like last season you saw that injuries played a huge factor, in my opinion. When it came down to playoff time, they weren't ready to compete. But I agree, man. I really hope, and like you said, even when they're in that rebuilding phase, you can't call them a rebuilding team because they've been in that upper echelon of the playoffs every season.
Yeah.
But I feel like in a lot of ways, this could be, if everything goes out to plan the way they want it to, and they're doing well come playoff time, this could be that moment for them where you feel like they got over that hump and now they're actually performing in the playoffs. Like I don't feel like we're too far away from that. But I agree, man. It's hard to put your trust in something you just haven't seen yet, man.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, man. But I mean, another thing that just makes this league so exciting. My last question, man. This one's a little off the rail. I'm gonna throw you out there right now. I don't know if you're
Uh-oh.
ready.
Let's see what you got, man.
Who do you think is gonna be the rookie of the year this season?
Who I think is gonna oof. Man, honestly, if I'm being real with you, I got a chance to check out that Jalen Green brother, and the way he was looking against the Lakers, no better way to showcase yourself than against LeBron James, man. And
I'm getting T-Mac vibes. I'm getting T-Mac vibes.
Yeah, I think that guy is definitely going to be your front runner, and arguably probably going to be. It's just like what I saw. Perfect example. When I see him, it reminds me of when I saw my boy Ja Morant, who's my modern day favorite player, right? Because the Grizzlies are my secondary team. I'm from Memphis, Tennessee, so that's my secondary team. I ride for my city. And the thing about it is, Ja Morant, I remember when we drafted him, he got drafted right behind Zion Williams. And everybody was talking about Zion this, Zion that. And I'm thinking to myself, well, I think we just drafted the best guy. Personally, everybody's going to talk about Zion, but I think we drafted the best guy. So far, I haven't been wrong on that theory because he won the Rookie of the Year, which I knew he was going to do. And he is balling out like crazy. And by the way, to my understanding, has not missed many games either. So, you know, knock on wood on that one. But still, you know, it's one of those things where I'm just saying, like, when I see Jalen Green, it reminds me of just like when I saw Ja Morant, man. He's one of those promising rookies where you see it and you just know there's an it factor to this man. And you know what? I know he's on a trash team right now in the Houston Rockets, but when they get the right pieces around him, whether it's through draft or free agency, trust me, they're gonna be a force to be reckoned with.
They're gonna be a problem. And I just love that you're on this one with us, because me and Derek actually picked this coming in first day of the season. We were like, nah, man, this is gonna be your Rookie of the Year, and it feels good that it's coming apart.
Yeah, I'm hearing a lot about.
Not, go ahead.
I was gonna say I was hearing a lot about this Cade Cunningham guy, but a lot of people seem to be disappointed in him right now. So that's another reason why I'm definitely behind Jalen Green, because I didn't even realize he was the number 2 pick. And I was like, oh, well, yeah, nah, Jalen got this.
For sure. And the story's yet to be written. Cade only just made his debut. I think it was two nights ago. And he didn't show out as much as Jalen Green has so far, but who knows? It's a long season. We got time for that to develop. But just coming off the bat, I thought he was the one that was going to have the most opportunity. And the fact that he's taking it and running with it and looking like a star, this is something that me and Derek was talking about last week too. I feel like there's not a lot of players in this league where you have that really extreme athletic talent that you see them going to the basket and people are clearing. They're getting out the way, but he also has that smoothness out on the perimeter. And if he could keep working on that mid-range shot, man, like you said, I think he could be a potential MVP in the future, man.
I agree. And you know what? To actually compare another set of top 2 draft picks, going back to Cade Cunningham's case, if I recall, people still tried to knock Atlanta for the fact that they traded Luka for Trae Young. So when they came into the season, Luka started off balling. Trae, on the other hand, kind of struggled, just like Cade is. But right when the second half of the season started, Trae Young hit a switch and he just went ape. And next thing you know, that has carried on to this day. And so with Cade Cunningham, like you said, still early, you never know. Don't if you got him on your fantasy team, well, just don't start him for a while until he gives you a reason why. But just give it time, man. You never know. That switch could flip, and next thing you know, he's balling just as much as Jalen Green. And before you know it, I still think Jalen Green's gonna get it because he's already just showcasing it. But because just like Luka, people arguably would have said, "Oh, Trae Young."
I know you're gonna see this. I'm coming for you. But all right, let's move on, my man.
You got this, Derek. You got this.
Like we do every week, it's only right. We're all about accountability on this show.
Let's do it.
And I just want to start off here by saying, every week we try to look back at the games that both Derek and I just completely got wrong and try to figure out what happened here. So let's jump right into that. The first game, Packers versus Cardinals. Did you get a chance to watch this one? Because it was fun to watch, man.
It was, man. That was a game where I didn't know what to expect. And I will say I was surprised by the outcome because I went into this thinking wholeheartedly, Arizona got this. And I mean, I get it. As Stephen A likes to say, he's a bad man, right? I get it. But man, everybody that he kept losing, I'm thinking to myself, even Aaron Rodgers couldn't stop this team now, could he? But man, hey, he did. Now I will say that final play though, very reminiscent.
Talk about it.
Very, very reminiscent of a certain Super Bowl, don't you think? That was very reminiscent of a certain Super Bowl with the Seahawks and the Patriots, where it was like, I don't know if you should have really made that play right there, brother. I mean, you were so close to goal line. I mean, Kyler Murray, come on. We know what kind of runner you are, bro. You easily could have faked that and just ran that into the end zone for the win, But I get it, maybe he's proving a point like, hey, I'm not just a run. Maybe he's on his Lamar Jackson, showing like, hey, I can do more than just run. I don't know, maybe the scheme was drawn up different. I don't really know, but that just seemed a little, it was one of them type of finishes where you were like, are you sure that's the finish? For real?
Yeah, exactly. And it was tough to watch too because it was a perfect pass. If the receiver was looking, it would have been a touchdown. But those things happen in football, man. And the fact that, in my opinion, that they put themselves in a position to win that game against, like you said, a team that historically is known to close games out like that. It's not easy to come back against the Packers, man. So I got a lot of respect for that team even after that loss because they really showed their mettle. They showed that even in a game that they're down 2 scores going into the second half, that they able to come back and make the game close and even make a case to winning it. So Derek and I were talking about them potentially going undefeated. Obviously, that went poo-pooed last week, but honestly, I don't mind it because, in my opinion, every team needs that learning lesson. That's what it is. It's not the end of the world. It's a lesson. And at the end of the day, I'm sure they'll bounce back from it. It's a little tough that they lost one of their star players on defense as far as J.J. Watt being out for the rest of the season, man. I hate to talk about that. I know it's in a constant sort of theme in this later part of his career that he's been dealing with a lot of stuff. So just prayers up to him. I'm hoping he makes a speedy recovery and then he's able to return all healthy next year. But I'm sure they'll bounce back and do their thing.
For sure, for sure. With Watt, as someone who used to face him twice a year, believe me when I say he's always bounced back, come back stronger, and it's like he never missed a beat. So he'll be back when he is. Just give it time, man. Watt, those Watts, man, they something serious.
Beasts. Yeah, they're beasts. Even that fullback out there on the Steelers too, man. He's doing his thing. That third Watt brother. Not many people know about him.
Not many.
He slept on. Yeah. But there's 2 more games here that I wanted to touch on that were sort of real eye openers for me. This one. Man, I was talking so much shit. I'm like, yo, y'all beat my Ravens, but Y'all ran the score up in garbage time. Don't get too hyped. This wasn't a blowout. And look what happened. Them Bengals lost to the Jets. They had old buddy back there. What's his name? Mike White throwing 400 yards against them. Just a crazy. I don't think there's anybody. Go to the bookies. There's nobody that picked the Jets to win against the Bengals. And the fact that they beat them, man, I'm torching everyone. Logic, my boy Logic, shout out my boy Logic. I know to see a Bengals team. I had to, as soon as it happened, he's like, nah, bro, that's on the refs. I'm like, you shouldn't have even gave them a chance, bro. They shouldn't have had a chance to be in that game. So just crazy turn of events, man. I'm surprised by it, but I still think that they're going to be one of the top teams and probably our biggest rival in that AFC North.
Oh yeah, well, this is kind of funny to touch on because now I can happily say I never want to hear anyone ever talk about us losing to the Jets ever again because the Bengals turned around and did the same thing. I tried to tell people, I literally said this on Debate Fuel. Shout out to my Debate Fuel crew, man. But I literally said this. I said, hey, it happens. Sometimes it's look, any given Sunday and it's week to week, okay? Even if you're the worst team, they're professionals. They're there for a reason. Even the worst team can get lucky and beat you on a Sunday. You just never know, right? That was the case of the Bengals. You rode a high because you beat a division rival, and then you probably got a little overconfident. So I'm figured, oh, it's the Jets. That's a bye week, as Stephen A. would say. That's a bye week, right? Well, no, it's not. It's never a bye week unless it's an actual bye week. So all I'll say is, yeah, that was a bit of a shocker, and I agree with you. I don't think if somebody did book that one, boy, they came up real rich on some money then, because
yes, sir.
The Jets, it's not often you would think they'd be a team that's more talented than the Bengals, especially when you got like Jamar Chase out there balling. So you're like, there's no way they're gonna beat them, but hey, they did it.
It happened. Yeah.
Jets, Jets. Shout out to my boy LJ because I know that made him happy. And I can relate to you, Bengals fans. Believe me, when we took the loss, we lost by a field goal, man. The field goal kicker didn't handle his business. But you know what? Like my man Chris just said, shouldn't have put him in that position in the first place. So welcome to the loss to the Jets club,
yes,
Bengals.
Sir. Yes, sir. And then the last one I wanted to touch on, this one was something that Derek and I talked about. We said, look, these division games get chippy. And at the end of the day, this team specifically has had their number. And the fact that the Bucs came out and lost again to the Saints, man, blew my mind, dude. The fact, let's talk about this Saints team because the funniest joke between Derek and I coming into this season was we was calling them LASIK Jameis. He got the LASIK surgery. He's back. He had that week 1 bombshell performance against the Packers. So everyone's just like, this is the Jameis. This ain't King Crab Jameis no more. This is a new era. And unfortunately, he ended up going down with the injury, and they was still able to figure out a way to get the win in this game, man. Just, in my opinion, this was the true meaning of what a divisional game is.
Yes.
In these games, the defense comes out. They're hitting harder than they usually would on a Sunday. They're making plays that they wouldn't usually run to make on any given Sunday because it's that divisional rival. So can't be too surprised, but at the end of the day, could point to some trouble for the Bucs, especially in that secondary.
Yes. Believe it or not, I actually called this as a win. I picked on Debate Field, we do a pick 6, and we didn't go over all the games like you guys do on Sideline Guys, but we did a pick 6, and this was one of the games. And believe it or not, me and shout out to my boy Rick Sincere, we actually had to try to convince Derek as much as we could that the Saints were going to win this game. Derek looked at it as they didn't have enough weapons to compete with the Saints because they're so low. I mean, to the Bucs because they're so loaded. But I looked at it as I was like, as for what you said, number one, it's kind of reminiscent for, say what you will about Tom Brady. I noticed something here's something no one ever points out. That guy always seems to have one team in any division he plays for that he struggles against. It was the Dolphins when he was in New England because he never seemed to beat them at home. Now, on his turf, he would destroy them. But whenever he went to Miami, he could never really beat the Dolphins, even when the Dolphins were utter garbage. And you're like, what's up with this? He would always, or even if he did beat them in Miami, he would struggle against them. It's like he would barely beat them, kind of deal. You know what I mean? And so fast forward, bringing it to this point, here he is, and he struggles against the Saints, which is so weird. It's like you expect Tom Brady to be Tom when you're playing them, and like you said, backup quarterback, you're thinking, okay, well, that Bucs defense is gonna, because I had them in my fantasy. I got them in my fantasy, and I'm thinking, oh well, Jameis is down. Bucs defense is gonna have a field day on Simeon. That was not the case. But I did predict them to win the game as a whole. So it may have sucked for me on fantasy a little bit with the defensive points of the Bucs. But at least I got my call right and I got my pick right, which is always a good thing. So I tip my hat off to the Saints. Now, kind of sucks for them right now. It's going to be interesting to see where they go from here, given that, Jameis is out. And we got this news about Michael Thomas on today about him not coming back at all for the rest of the season. So now it's like, where do you go if you're a Saints fan? How do you look at the season now? Like, pretty interesting.
Yeah, and it's so weird, man. I feel like so many people ragged on Sean Payton after that bounty gate situation.
Yeah.
I feel like to this day, he is one of the most, shout out Deontay Wilder, to this day, he is one of the most underrated coaches in the NFL. I think he has schemed a lot of teams out of competition against them. Like, you'll see a lot of games where teams that are doing great the rest of the season just struggle against the Saints. So, and this is a team, in my opinion, that coming into the season, not many people were even really talking about their defense. We were talking more so about their offensive changes. So just always plugging and finding the ways to try to win these games that are close ones. You got to respect them for that. I'm sure that even with all these injuries, they were talking about how the reason why they got Simeon was because he's a cerebral quarterback and they think that they could run the offense through him. So I'm interested to see what they're able to do. They were able to pull it out with him in this one. Who knows? Maybe it's just one of those things, like you said, maybe they just got Brady's number. They got him to throw a bunch of picks and that's what you need. So once again, this is why we play the games. This is why you tune in, baby. You got to check out and make sure that the storylines are what they say they are. And most of the time, they end up being something completely different. And that's the best part about sports, in my opinion. You come in, you think you know something, and then you realize that they change the questions on you. Now you don't even know what you came in thinking of because now there's a whole different storyline. So speaking of, man, let's jump right into our week 9 picks and discussions, man. This is in my opinion, the schedule's picking up. The past couple of weeks, we've been struggling to find good matchups. Here, I think we got a couple of good ones, good chippy games that we can watch and point our fingers to as far as games that are going to be fun to watch. So let's jump right into it, man. Our first game on the slate for actually what's going to be billed as 2 nights. Thursday night, baby. Jets versus the Colts in Indianapolis. So what are you thinking about this game? What's the situation with Wentz, man? Dude is looking great. Dude is always looking great until he's not.
Yeah, it's interesting how Wentz plays. Wentz has always kind of been a bit of a turnover machine to a degree, but like one of those turnover machines where he's not like backup quarterback turnover machine, but like makes the right plays, but then always he kind of beats himself up at the same time. Like he's really great or really good at what he does, but then like he has that moment where it was like, I almost want to compare him to Tony Romo to a degree. I almost kind of want to put him in that category because a lot of people say what you will about the Cowboys if you're a Cowboys fan. If you're not a Cowboys fan, I should say. But some Cowboys fans didn't like him either. But like when Romo was a Cowboy, statistically, the man was putting up numbers and was balling. Yep. But it seemed to be moments where it was just when it mattered most, when it was just a key moment to win a game or something. He always had that one play where it was like, Romo, what were you thinking? Like, did you think that was gonna work, or what exactly did you see here to make you think that was going to work? And I think Wentz has that same kind of effect right now, where it's like good player, definitely can hold a team together and do things, and he shows he can take the reins and lead a team. But it's almost like he does something where it was like, what was going through your mind in that play? Because did you really think that was going to work? Did you think the defender wasn't going to cut off and catch that, or like what? So a game like this is a good bounce back game for him for sure. But again, as I told everybody, it's the Jets, and I think they just showed you any given. Well, actually, no, it's Thursday. So in this case, maybe that does work in the Colts' favor. Honestly, I think this does work. It's not Sunday, so I don't know how this one goes. Honestly, I will say after losing to my Titans, I want to say the Colts are looking for some type of bounce back because they want to try to find some kind of way to get back in the fray of the division a little bit. So for them, I do see them winning this. And I think Carson Wentz wants that redemption a little bit because he knows what happened. And I think he even took the blame, of course, as many good quarterbacks do, showing leadership, taking blame. Actually, shout out to their coach because their coach actually did his best to say that's on me. And that was a coaching call, when a lot of people were like, nah, man, you just trying to be a good coach. That was definitely Carson Wentz. But I can see them pulling this one off. I think it's not the prettiest game in the world, but I think it'll just be one of those surprising, what do you call that, Chris? A sneaky good game?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I think you might get a sneaky good game out of this, even though it's not the sexiest looking game. You're like, Colts, Jets, really? Is that something I want to watch? Like, but I think it'll give you a sneaky good. If you're a true football elite fan, I think this is one of those sneaky good ones that's going to be like a little slugfest that you didn't think you needed, but you wanted.
For sure, man. And the real question is can the Mike White fantasy continue? Can he just continue rolling, man? Who knows? I mean, like I said, he had a historic performance last week.
Yeah.
Who knows, man? Who knows? But I agree with you on this one. Derek does as well. Derek's also on the Colts. I got to go with the Colts here, although it never really feels good to be banking on the Colts to win a game, with all due respect. I think they just have the more well-rounded team, especially when it comes down to that fourth quarter. They got players to make stops on defense, and that always helps. Darius Leonard is just a monster. But anyway, we got to this is a little fun one too. We starting our Sunday slate off here. We got Raiders versus Giants in New York in the Meadowlands.
Okay.
Giants are banged up right now, and that's what's giving me pause about this one. I think, listen, I'm gonna be real. The Raiders team to this day, I feel like they are a team that they're gonna show up or they're gonna completely not. Like, and most of the time, by the end of the third quarter whether or not it's one of them days that they showed up.
Yeah.
That's been the story since last year and the season before that, even, where they're coming out doing well, and then you're thinking, maybe Derek Carr's in this MVP race, and then out of nowhere he's throwing 3 picks in a game. I'm kind of waiting for that game this season. It hasn't come yet, but I don't think it'll be this one, man. I think the Raiders are gonna bust all through this team. But my boy Derek said, "Watch out! Who knows? The Giants might come back and get it." And like I said, never feel too confident picking the Raiders, but I'm going with the Raiders in this one.
If what recent news came out hadn't come out for the Raiders,
oh yeah, man,
I probably would go with you on that right now. But you know what? Because of what recently just happened to this organization,
that's so tough.
I'm gonna go with the Giants because they have really been sneaking up on people a little bit in terms of their play. And I feel like the Raiders locker room is just gonna be a little bit distracted. I don't know why, because when you think about a young man like Henry Ruggs and the promise he had, it's kind of one of those things. Now the Raiders do have other exciting weapons. They do. They've got some stuff around them, but it's just, I feel like the atmosphere, the vibe, because of how shocking that is, and like, yo, things like that. Like you put some mental focus on. You're like, hey, next man up. It's a new game, this and that. But I just feel like the news and the stench of what happened to that is gonna kind of affect it a little bit to where I just feel like they're gonna be a little off. You may get that Derek Carr game you were talking about with those 3 picks, and like I said, these Giants, they showing people like we may not have the best record right now, and like you said, we're banged up, but they still bringing it as if they had the best record in the whole NFC East right now or something. I don't know. So I'm gonna lean towards Giants on this one for some reason. I'm
I
picking
like that.
Giants.
I
Yeah.
like that, man. I like a little parody here. You love to see it. And I just want to say before we move on, man, just a horrible situation. I know that
Mhm.
this is the easiest take to make coming out of this, but at the end of the day, especially if you're in, like, no matter what position you're in, but if you're in the
Mhm.
position that he is in, brother, get
Mhm.
yourself a driver, get yourself the Uber app, do
Yeah.
something, leave your car, like figure out what you need to do. And this is for everyone else now, because unfortunately this isn't his story anymore. Now
Yeah.
now he's gonna have to deal with the ramifications of what happened. And
Mhm.
of course, I'm sure he must feel absolutely horrible about this.
Mhm.
I'm someone that drives, so I think about that all the time. Like I've gotten into an accident before, and it was
Mhm.
just me, and I
Yeah.
was literally thankful, like so thankful that I didn't hit nobody else and nobody else
Mhm.
was involved, because
Mhm.
I personally don't know how I will be able to get on the road again with that.
Mhm.
So just once again, just for all you young guys out there, this is real shit. Like you can end up in a
Mhm.
situation where you lose a big significant portion of your future, and now you got a
Mhm.
felony charge on your record. And I mean, just the guilt that you got to carry for your rest of your life is more than a reason not to step
Yeah.
behind the wheel whenever you're a little bit impaired. So,
Yeah.
shit. Even if you smoking some bud, man, people like to say it don't do nothing to you. Hey,
Yeah.
get yourself somebody that you trust behind that wheel, and that's what matters. Especially
Mhm.
if you're in the position financially to make that happen. Like there's no
Mhm.
excuse. So I don't want to bag on somebody when they're down, because like I said, this is just a horrible situation. But
Mhm.
prayers up to Ruggs, prayers up to the families of the victim. I mean, just a horrible situation that you don't want to see anybody in, man.
Absolutely. I totally 100% agree. Um, all I would say is, as someone who's you guys who do know me, I'm a wrestling fan and I cover a wrestling podcast. There's a wrestler from a popular twin tag team by the name of the Usos, and both of them have kind of had their share of this, but it seems to be more so Jimmy Uso. He goes through that same struggle. He's gotten in so many DUI situations that it's not even funny. Recently, earlier this year, was in a serious DUI situation, and every time us wrestling fans think about what he's been through, and they got rewarded with the tag team titles after the fact of this news recently hitting, which a lot of fans didn't sit too well with that because they're like, why would you reward someone that's fresh off of a DUI again from multiple DUIs in the past? And the last one before that, they had some time off for a while, and it still hasn't clicked and registered yet. And I just hope that this situation with Henry Ruggs, I hope Jimmy Uso, if he follows football or even if he doesn't follow football, if he's at least heard about this situation, I really hope that wakes him up because this could easily be him.
Mm.
And if he doesn't stop what he's doing, that could easily be him in this same situation. And the WWE is not handling it the way they should because he has a long history with his family and bloodline. And it's like, if you treat that the right way, if this situation happens in his case, it's not going to look good for the WWE because it'll be like you had time after time after time to try to get this man some help or send him to rehab or do something to do that. So again, let this lesson be a lesson to everybody out there. If you drink, be responsible, man. It sounds corny sometimes when you hear it in those public service feeds, the way they do it, but it's real and it's a lifesaver. So,
Man, nobody thinks it's gonna be them until they're in
mm-hmm,
that situation. Like 100%, everyone thinks
mm-hmm,
I'm gonna be the one that's fine. I'm
mm-hmm,
fine. I feel fine.
Mm-hmm.
Like don't trust that gut instinct. And at the end of the day, I don't want to. I'm not saying this at all to make an excuse or to disparage these men, these athletes. But
Mm-hmm.
another person that came to mind when we were talking about this is John Jones. And what's the
Yes.
thread? What's the thread here between all these guys? And let's be
Mm-hmm.
real, is head trauma. And
Yeah.
and I don't want to be that guy and point the finger and say you
Mm-hmm.
shouldn't be doing this because this is what it leads to. That's not what I'm saying at all. What
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying is when you're in a position where you're already in such a high risk situation in your life,
Mm-hmm.
let alone driving in your
Yeah.
own life, when you're already putting yourself at risk in that way,
Mm-hmm.
you really need to be careful as far as how you manage your risk taking situations, whether or not their impulse control, or that's a good way to say it. Like I feel like a lot of these guys that have had these issues, you can point to that same thread and say, look, maybe it's not in their control fully. Maybe it's something that through years of competing, through being in these sports, maybe they have changed in some way that they don't even know, that they
Mm-hmm.
can't have control over. And it's important when you're in this position. Obviously, I'm not, but if you're in this position where you have the wherewithal, you have the money, you're in the situation, nobody's asking you to not have fun. Nobody's
Yeah.
asking you to not do what you got to do on your own time. But at the end of the day, you got to make better choices, especially when you
Yes.
have the means to do so. Get yourself
Yes.
a driver, get yourself a designated driver. I'm
Absolutely.
sure I'm sure in their position it won't be hard to figure that out.
For
But
sure.
and that's not pointing fingers and disparaging them for going through those head traumas, but at the end of the day, a lot of those things are completely under the rug. A lot of people don't like talking about it, they don't like analyzing it, but at the
Mm-hmm.
end of the day, it's a reality of the sport. And if you're a fan, you really got to reconcile with yourself what you're watching,
Yes.
because a lot of these
Yes.
people watch the sports and they just hit them harder. Make sure you duck your head in when you make these hits, and
Mm-hmm.
they're really not realizing how much of a serious impact it has on these guys on their day-to-day lives, not
Yeah.
even just on the field. So
Absolutely.
100% guys, just take care of yourselves and be aware of those things. But let's move on to something a little
Let's
lighter.
do it. Yeah, let's
A
get a
little
little
lighter.
lighter. Brighten
We
up the
got
mood a little bit.
yes, sir. We got Atlanta Falcons. That's a buzz in the air, but they're coming up against a team that's surging, up against the Saints. Another divisional matchup could be
Hmm.
could be a little chippy, but with their star receiver out, who's also taking some time um, to get his mental right, which you love to see,
Mm-hmm.
and Calvin Ridley doing his thing in order to do that. But they still got guys like Pitts on the field, so who knows?
Sure.
What are your thoughts on this game, man?
Well, let me ask: are they in Atlanta or are they in New Orleans?
In New Orleans.
They're in New Orleans. Ooh. Okay, that dome, man. It's always tough to win in that dome. So
Mhm.
it's weird because New Orleans is dealing with not having their original starter quarterback, and now this Michael Thomas news. But for some reason, I feel like that's going to inspire them to play even harder.
Mm.
Um, and it's tough. It's tough to call this one because divisional matchups are always 50-50. I want to lean towards Atlanta off of the high of Atlanta right now. Just to go in there and say, you know what? Because one thing about this rivalry, if you're watching this or listening and you're from Louisiana, I'm sorry, because I know how y'all feel about the Georgians in Atlanta, and the rivalry is real. Okay, I didn't realize it was that real till I was on tour. I landed in New Orleans. No talk, real talk, true story. Landed in New Orleans. Captain on the plane literally said, "Hey, man, this was the year Atlanta was in the Super Bowl," and he said, "All right, we'd like to thank you guys for flying with us right here, and we have safely made it to our destination here in New Orleans." And he said, we're gonna give a special. Well, no, he's like, if you're from here, welcome home. And then he said, now we're gonna do a special offboarding order right here. So first, if you are a Saints fan, you get to get off first. And if you're a Patriots fan, you get to get off next. And then comes those, if you're from Atlanta and you're an Atlanta native, you Falcons fans go last. And I was like, wait a minute. And like the whole crowd in the plane just like ate that up. And I'm like, wow, this rivalry is for real, for real. So because it's the Saints and we know how Atlanta feels about the Saints, Atlanta can't lose this game because they know the Braves are fresh off of winning the championship here. The city's riding a high. And even though we know the Falcons aren't really winning anything this year, it's one of those things where it's like, come on, Atlanta. If you can't do anything else this season, beat the Saints, please. Right? That's just as close to a Super Bowl for them for now as they'll get. So it's like, I'm going to go ahead for the home team and the high of Atlanta, and I'm going to say the Falcons take this win. But I would not be surprised if the Saints win because it's in that dome and they're always unbeatable there. But I think Atlanta's going to try to do this and treat it like they're a Super Bowl.
Man, I like it. I think that if there's any bright spot on this team, it's Pitts right now and Cordarrelle. Yeah. The fact that they was able to turn around Cordarrelle's career arc almost, and now they're calling him Scordarrelle because every week he's scoring touchdowns. Man, it's good to see. It puts a smile on my face.
Yes,
as someone who was always championing. You don't got the if you need a flex wide receiver in your league, pick up Cordarrelle. This is a long time ago. I was tooting his horn.
Man, look, he was my best random pickup ever. I'm talking about when he first started. I saw him week 1. I said, let me see who picked that guy up. And I went through every league just to see if he was available. And the ones he was available in, snatched him right up. And he's been the best acquisition since. So, Cordell, shout out to you, brother.
Yes, sir. But unfortunately, I got to go the other way. Listen, man, me and my boy Derek, we in a deadlock right now. He's cooking me. Okay. I'm down by 7 points. I gotta get these points. He's going with the Saints. I can't trust the Falcons on this one, man. I'm going with the Saints at home. But you love to have a little parody here on the show, man.
Yeah, no, I respect that because again, it's kind of a hopeful thing in a way. It's like, all right,
ride the momentum.
Ride the momentum. I mean, come on, you do it for the city, Atlanta. Like you may be away, Now, if this was in Atlanta, I definitely wholeheartedly would have been like, oh, Falcons. But since it's in the dome, I think they're gonna treat this like a Super Bowl and they're just gonna try to get this on the road just to stick it to Saints fans that much more. Like, yeah, we beat you in your house. But hey, we'll see.
Yep, that's all we could do. Next up, this is one of those games that me and Derek look at each other with a side eye and we're like, we don't got to talk about this game, right? we don't got much to talk about here.
I love these picks.
Bills Jaguars, man. What are you thinking?
Bills, man. The Bills. Come on. I will say this though, those little engine that could Jags, they tried their hardest against those Seahawks. They really did. I mean, they played defense with their whole hearts, and they didn't get shut out. And for that, I give you a golf clap, Jaguars. You did great, but you're losing this game to the Bills.
Yes, sir. I agree with you 100%. Sadly enough, I picked the Jags last week to beat the Seahawks. And what did they do? They shit the bed like they should have. And the fact that I picked them, listen, man, this is my rationale coming in. This is my rationale. I said,
brother.
Every team that has beat the Jags has scored more than 20 points. Can this Seahawks team with Geno score 20 points? And they were able to score 30, and that made me look like a clown. But I ain't gonna do it this week.
Young Geno.
Bills. Yes, sir. And it's crazy enough, dude. Speaking of them Seahawks, we're gonna get to them in a little bit too. But man, it looks like Russell Wilson might be on his way back to coming way earlier than a lot of people said he would be. So good news out there for those people in Seattle.
Sure.
Yes, sir. So easy on this one across the board. All three of us are going with the Bills. Next up, we got a cracker of a divisional game, man. We got Browns versus the Bengals, dude. This is going to be a fun one in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Man, this is a story of defense versus offense. And right now, this Browns offense is looking atrocious, dude. It's looking bad. But that doesn't mean anything when you have a quarterback who's been susceptible to being hit, and Joe Burrow coming up against somebody like Myles Garrett,
Yeah.
Obviously, you saw him come out with his Grim Reaper outfit with all the
Yeah.
QBs he ever sacked on the cope. That was dope,
That was
man.
dope. Yeah. Shout out
But
to him.
you can't come out like that and then shit the bed the way they did it against that team last week. So a little
True.
bounce back game for the Browns here. I feel like this is a lot closer than people think. I think if the Bengals come out offensively and score two big touchdowns early, this game might get out of control real early. I think if
Mm-hmm.
they go out to an early lead, I don't think the Browns have a chance at coming back. But if this one stays competitive early and they keep it down the stretch, I can make a case for either one of these teams, man. But I think I'm going to go with the Bengals here just because they got a little bit more firepower at this point in the
Mm.
season with all the injuries to the Browns.
Yeah, man. Honestly, I'm gonna go the same route, and I'm gonna go with the Bengals on this one. And what really adds the fuel to this fire of a pick is the Browns also got a little bit of an issue and a distraction going to what we said about Simmons earlier. Well, trade deadline happened on Tuesday, and a certain guy that we know still got it and is far from done as a player, Odell Beckham Jr. What is going on between him and that quarterback Baker Mayfield?
Hmm.
I don't know. Get this brother the ball. Why you're not giving a guy like him the ball? I don't know. But man, all I'm gonna say is that it may not be looking good these next few weeks for the Browns right now because
Hmm.
if what's being reported is true about this guy and whatever their relationship is and how things are going, and then you didn't trade him and you kept him, man, listen, we know how Odell can get, and he's been in this situation before. So that being said,
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely leaning to the Bengals because the Bengals, first of all, their quarterback and their wide receiver darn sure don't have an issue with each other, and that shows. So I think if anything, that's going to give Odell more of a reason to not like Baker Mayfield and probably act out on the sidelines. Don't be surprised, y'all,
Mm.
if you see him acting out on the sidelines or something, because when he sees how Burrow and Chase connect, he gonna be looking at Baker like, that could have been us right now, but you tripping. You
Yeah,
know,
you
what's that?
tripping,
Yeah,
man.
yeah. What's that? You know, when they say this could be us, but you trip. There you go.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Man, I don't know what it is about Baker, dude. I mean, number one pick, all the rage. I feel
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, he's been banged up this season, and you could point to that. But I
Mm-hmm.
think even when he was fully healthy and he had all his weapons available, there's always been that question. Why do
Mm-hmm.
you favor certain guys? Why aren't certain guys getting the touches?
Yeah.
I felt like a lot of the times Landry was always their best receiver on a
Mm-hmm.
team where you got Odell. That doesn't really make sense. With all due respect to Landry, he's a great player as well.
Mm-hmm.
But it just feels like they should have more of a two-headed monster on both sides. They got the great two-headed monster with the running backs.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, both of them are out at the moment, so that's not going to help them in this game. But
Mm-hmm.
it felt like coming into the season, you should have that on the passing side as well. And
Mm-hmm.
they're just never able to figure it out for some reason. Just a very bizarre situation.
Yeah.
Not sure what's going to happen with that, but yeah, man, it makes sense that we're all going with the Bengals in this one.
Yeah. For sure. For sure. Should be exciting.
Yeah, yeah. These divisional games always are fun, bro. So the
Yes,
next up,
sir.
this one, we got a PP matchup. You know, you love to hear it. We got
Uh-oh.
the New England Patriots up in Carolina, facing the Panthers. Man, I'm gonna tee you up for this one. All I gotta say is I'm high on the Chargers. I'm someone that's always been pointing the finger and saying, man, these guys are real. Regardless of what happens, these guys are real.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this Patriots team looked legit against the Chargers. I feel like there's been a couple of weeks that you could point to and say, is Mac Jones that guy?
Mm-hmm.
Is this team able to do what they have to do to close out close games? Those
Mm-hmm.
are all valid questions. But at the end of the day, I feel like the way that their defense has been playing, on top
Mm-hmm.
of their improved production on offense,
Mm-hmm.
that's a scary mix for the Panthers, man. What are you thinking?
Okay, so going to last week's matchup, right, with the Chargers and the Patriots, yet another pick that I got right because I picked the Patriots while everybody else went the Chargers route.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to this game, this is interesting to me because I feel like if you love defense, if you're one of those defense loving people, then this is definitely the game you want to see because I feel like it's going to be the Patriots defense versus the Panthers defense. And this is just going to be one of those slugfest defensive games. And I see the Patriots taking this because of what you said, Chris, that point of let's look at the two quarterbacks here. Young promise quarterback, both young. You know, Sam Darnold's still young, but it's one of those things where he's not really improving. You've had the chance. You've had the keys twice now. And clearly, you ain't it, brother. You're not. You're showing your ceiling right now. And it's looking pretty backup status, if I do say so myself, in the future. Mac Jones, on the other hand, drafted rookie, seems to be figuring it out week to week to week to week to week. He's definitely got the machine behind him, and we know how bad they're trying to turn him into the next Tom Brady. So far, so good. It's looking pretty good over there for them. So all I'm going to say is I'm definitely leaning to the more promising quarterback battle in the offense. So I see the Patriots at least scoring 1 to 2 touchdowns at least. And the rest of it all defensive. And I think the Patriots defense will outdo the Panthers defense just by a margin.
Man, I agree with you 100%. I'm going with the Patriots here too. Derek, on the other hand, is going with the Panthers. Funny enough, whenever we talk about these games, I feel like early on in the season, I was the one backing the Panthers. I'm like, this defense is young. They're all over the place, and they still are. Don't get me wrong. You know, they got some playmakers, but I agree, man. I think you can't go against Belichick, man. You can't. Even if your clientele isn't at that same level, you're gonna still have those issues scheming up against a great head coach like that. So I agree. I'm going with the Pats in this one too.
Yeah. Wow, Derek, you shock me, sir.
Yes, sir.
I can't believe you chose the Pat. He's gonna regret that. That's one of those picks he'll regret later. He'll be like, darn.
And I'm telling you, there's been a couple times this season that I'm the one picking the Panthers and I'm regretting it later, and he's picking the other way. So funny enough, hopefully we get this one back. But next up, Broncos at Cowboys in AT&T Stadium. This let me know what you think about this. I'm gonna set it up like this. Okay. I feel like this Broncos team, I was high on them coming into the season, and the Panthers for the same reason. And both of them have proved me wrong in this way. You cannot trust a team who relies solely on their defense. Without a great offense, without a great situation, especially with your quarterbacks, although I love Teddy Bridgewater and he's doing his thing whenever he can, but there's some limitations to that offense. And I think when you're relying so heavily on a defense in today's NFL, that's a recipe for disaster, man. And when you're coming up against the team where you got Cooper Rush balling out the way he did last week, and he's not even going to be playing this week. You know Dak is coming back.
Oh, yeah. I can be back.
You got some problems on your hands, man. I got to go with the Cowboys on this one.
You know what is so crazy is that, all right, you know, at some point, now I'm pretty sure, I feel like I'd be wrong on this, but there's a part of me that really thinks, despite how that offense for Denver looks at times, I think this is one of those games where Teddy Bridgewater actually falls out. And I think it may be him and Sutton. It may be a him and Sutton connection, or maybe it's someone else on that team. I can't predict it. But I think the Broncos are going to give the Cowboys their first loss since week 1. I think they're going to do it.
I need a hot take button, bro. I need a hot take button.
Yeah, it's a hot take. Call that a hot take one, man. I'm pretty good for those. They say I'm pretty good with the hot takes, but I really think. Now, again, I know the Cowboys, they look good. They look Super Bowl contending. But let's not forget, Denver does have a bit of a defense, though. They do. And I know they just traded off, which still surprises me. Von Miller is no longer a Denver Bronco right now, but it's still one of those things where I wouldn't be surprised if they pull this off. I'm not saying they're gonna like blow out the Cowboys. I do think the Cowboys will definitely put up a lot of points against this team, but I think somehow they're just gonna pull this off, whether it's a possession thing or whether it's a field goal. I don't know. I can't call it, but I feel like the Broncos are going to take this one. So I'm leaning with the Broncos for this week.
I like it, man. I like it. Coming in hot, baby. Love to see it. Next up, man, you know where I'm leaning with this one. Lord.
Let's go.
We got Vikings at Ravens coming off that bye. Recharge, ready to go. I think this is the week. We had a similar week early on in the season against the Colts where Lamar just went bananas. And I think this is going to be one of those weeks. Man, the Vikings has been in a shootout with anybody that you put across with them. They almost beat Arizona when they faced them early on in the season.
That's true.
I think this game is going to be your sneaky fun game of the week. I think this is going to be a competitive baller game. Expect 20, 30 points from each team. I'm going with my Ravens, though. You know, it's only right. I have to. I'm going with my Ravens. But what do you think, man?
You know what, man? This is definitely. I agree with you. That's a sneaky good game, and the Ravens are. I feel like they're the team that's still, for whatever reason, they've proved a lot, and yet still seem to have a lot to prove to people for some reason, right? They've proved a lot, yet still have a lot to prove. I don't understand that, but what I do know is, as you mentioned, it's one thing we know Lamar's gonna do. That man gonna find a way to ball, and he really gonna ball out. And I really can see him balling out against this crew. I feel slugfest vibes with this, and you know what? I'm definitely going with your Ravens, brother. I think they can pull this off for sure.
Yes, sir. You love to hear it. You love to hear it. 3 Ravens picks across the board. That only means good things on this side, man. All right. This next one right here, this is another one of those games where I'm looking at you and I'm like, bro, we could jump right past this one. But we got Texans versus Dolphins in Miami.
Oh, God.
Our boy Derek is going with the Texans in this one, man. I don't know about Mills. This one could go either way, man. You know what? I need the points. I'm going with the Dolphins. I think this is a race for last place. and Tua's trying as hard as he can to change the narrative. So let's see. I'm going with the Dolphins in this one.
This is definitely a pick your poison type of matchup. I see. This is choose the lesser of two evils, and which evil are you choosing? Well, because they're division rivals, and I clearly want them to lose, so that the division looks a little bit easier. I'm definitely going with Dolphins for this one. That's probably a personal pick, but I'm going Dolphins here because what the heck? Jalen Waddle, probably because you're on my fantasy team. You know what? I see him and Tua just having that connect, that Alabama connect, and Waddle's going to go off. He's going to have a 100-plus yard game against this Texans crew. You know what? He's just going to go off. He's going to have mad catches. He may even have a touchdown or two. Yeah, I'm going Dolphins for this.
I love it, man. When you could pull a game like this out of the depths, brother, you doing something different, bro. I'm just saying. But both of us are going Dolphins here, Derek. Good luck with your pick, brother. I'm just saying. Next up, Chargers versus Eagles, man. This matchup right here. I wish Derek was here to talk about this one. Last week, Derek looked me in the eyes and told me, and I felt this one to my heart, brother. He told me, he was like, I don't even want to talk about the Eagles no more. That's how hurt he is this season. And I don't blame him, dude. I don't blame. And it's fitting on the week that he's not here. he threw up his Eagles pick anyway, which I love to see. I love to see it because you ain't here to defend it, but you're just gonna throw it out there anyway. You gotta respect the loyalty, or what I like to call a little, a little sadness hedge. You sad, you know what's going on, but you still gotta go with your boys. So I respect it. I think this one, man, we've been talking about this all year, and it's sad that we're still here. But at the end of the day, we were saying, if this team finds a way to run the ball effectively, like they can be a problem.
True.
But they keep, for some reason, not doing that and avoiding doing it at all costs. It seems like coming out of the bye, I'm hoping that they're able to make some of those adjustments. I think that's your best chance, but banking on a team to do stuff that you haven't seen them do just never feels good, man. So I think I'm gonna go with the Chargers in this one.
Ooh, boy.
This one's in Philly, by the way.
It's in Philly. Okay, so that
adds to it.
It does add to it because it's starting to get a little colder. But what's the weather like up north, my friend? Is the snow starting to fall yet?
As we say in New York City, my brother, it is brick, and it started today. It is cold, today. But I'll tell you that I'll get you with that. You keep going. I'll get you that number.
We'll get to that. Okay, so then, you know what? Usually, warm weather teams don't do too well in the cold, but it depends on how cold Philly is going into this one. But
58, low of 41.
Okay, but no snow, so that's good. No snow. So I'm gonna say the Chargers fight their arch nemesis of being out there in that Pacific sun, and I think they're actually gonna overcome Derek's Eagles by a hair, because I actually do think Derek's Eagles are gonna put up a fight, though. I do.
I agree.
But I can see them losing because of the things Derek criticizes them for the most. And I think it's going to come down to the run game. Austin Eckler is going to probably do everything that, Derek would wish the Eagles do, and that's run the football.
And man, he got my favorite nickname in the league. Do you know about this? Do you know Eckler's nickname? Dude, this one resonates with guys like you and I, brother. His nickname is Pound for Pound. And you know why? Because he's a small back, but he will run you over, dude. They say he is one of the strongest guys they face, and that's people that are on his team saying that. So
big facts.
Pound for pound, I love it. I love that nickname so much, man. Got to go with the Chargers.
Reminds me of my good old friend Maurice Jones-Drew. He was similar to that, man. Short, stout, but man, listen, that man, you don't get in his way. Trust you me, he'll run you over. So I love that, brother. Pound for pound. Go ahead, Austin Eckler, and I got him in my fantasy too, so I need him to go off. But
only right. It's only right. Yes, sir. So next up, man, this has all the drama, bro. This has drama on all types of angles. So first off, I just want to say I'm going to start this one off right. This is Packers versus Chiefs now. The Chiefs struggled against the Giants on Monday Night Football. Everybody saw it.
They did.
But I think that says a little bit more about the Giants than it does about the Chiefs. Now, we already heard the storyline about the Chiefs and their defense and all the problems they have. But the reason why I think this game could be extremely close is because I don't know if you heard the news. John Wick himself, the man who has been growing out his hair to be John Wick, he went to all the Halloween parties and now he got the COVIDs, brother. He is on the list. Sad to hear it. Hope he's okay. I hope nobody's affected as far as the media family, but you hate to see it. But he's going to be out. And I don't know if that means Jordan Love is getting the start. I think that'll be so crazy if Jordan Love goes out to Kansas City and balls out and has people sneaky wondering, is this a Favre situation? Like, are we getting out of Rodgers and finding ourselves into a brand new franchise quarterback? Who knows? I don't think that's going to be the case here, though. I'm someone who, regardless of all the struggles they had this year, regardless of how bad their defense is, man, can't count out this Chiefs team. Like, you can't. I don't care that they've been showing themselves off. I don't care. Now, if Rodgers was playing, I would not be picking him. But because he's not, I'm gonna go with the Chiefs in this one in a game that they need 100%.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, man, you sold me for sure. This is definitely drama filled now. Now you got me wondering here, right? Um, honestly, this is a tough call because I agree with you. The Chiefs need this win at this point because another loss kind of means that their season is borderline over with the way the AFC is looking right now.
And they have one of the toughest remaining schedules out of any of the teams.
Agreed. So it doesn't get any better for them for this. But you know what? Given that this COVID news happened, I think we're about to see the Jordan Love show, y'all. I think it's been a long time coming since the day he got drafted. And I think this is gonna make the Chicago Bears look so dumb. Because you know how a lot of people say Justin Fields isn't ready. You need to let him sit. Well, Jordan Love has been sitting since the moment he was drafted. And if it's anything we know about when you get to sit and marinate, now we get to see, this has been sitting on the bench the entire time. And it
cooking something up in the lab.
Cooking something up in the lab the whole time. And need I mind you, it's also a plus for him because he's going against this Chiefs defense. So what better way to showcase yourself than against a defense that everybody's pretty much scored on, and I really think this is about to be the Jordan Love show, y'all. I really think you're about to see something special. Kind of reminiscent of what you saw when Michael Vick made his return to the NFL. McNabb went out, Vick came in, and it was like, holy crap. That's the Vick that we remember from the Atlanta days. He still got it. And then next thing you know, he slowly but surely ended up getting that start. McNabb was traded. Vick took the reins. Shout out to Derek for that because I know he remembers that story all too well. But still, it's one of those things where I'm just saying, I think we're about to see the Jordan Love show, and I think he's about to take the keys and showcase that he also is a future bad man in his own right. So I'm picking the Packers for this win.
I love it, man. I love it. I love it, dude. I love it. Gotta have parity on this, and it just adds to it. Like you said, there's so many angles to this one. This is going to be a fun one to watch, even if it isn't on paper the most competitive game of the week. Next up, man, this is a division matchup. Two teams that obviously are in a little bit of different places right now, but a team that I was high on coming into the season that's been slumping. You got the Cardinals coming up against the Niners. Tough matchup, man. I think injuries play a big factor into this one. I can see a scenario where the Niners really give Arizona trouble on defense and really force Kyler Murray to throw the ball. I know that sounds silly because that's how he's been getting his bread and butter this entire season. But there's a lot of times where you see, and I see it in my own team with Lamar, these quarterbacks, whenever you can spy them, it's not even a matter of you need to get a hit. It's a matter of letting them know that they don't have the freedom to do that in these matchups. And I think if they could put Kyler Murray in some sneaky situations where he's not trying to run out into that sideline. He's not trying to make those extra plays and it ends up costing them. I don't think that's what's going to happen just because of all the other things that they have going on, including their QB situation. I don't know what's going on there. I just want to see the best for Trey Lance. I know that's going to be hard to do considering he's going through his rookie woes, which is to be expected. But could be sneaky interesting here, man. I'm gonna go with the Niners, but I gotta tee it up to you like that, brother. What are you thinking? No, I'm sorry. I'm gonna go with the Cardinals. Sorry.
Oh, I was about to say, I like what you did there. You switched roles with me there, buddy. You went the other way. Okay, I see you. I see you. Nah, man. Divisional games again, man. Those are always tricky, as we know. I mean, anytime you have a divisional matchup, it can literally go either way because they know each other so well. But because of all the banged up injuries that the 49ers have went through. And the fact that they haven't really led up to their expectations. I'm definitely going to go with the Cardinals because the Cardinals suffered what most would call a disappointing loss, but a loss that you need because, as you said, sometimes you need that learning lesson. They got it, and they're ready to eat some more. So I think this is that moment where they say, you know what? We're going to edge this out, and we're going to win. Now, it's divisional matchup, so out of respect, it's definitely going to probably be a close matchup. But I got the Cardinals overcoming and getting that win back that they didn't get last week. So bounce back.
You love to see it. You love to see it. Now, this right here, this is the game of the week, brother. I know this is your game of the week. This right here is the game of the week. I don't care what anybody says. Listen, man, I'm gonna tee it up this way. I'm gonna let you take the reins on this one, but I'm gonna start off with some stats. You love to hear it here. We ain't just opinions. We're coming at you with the facts, brothers. So, offensive leaders. Our number one is Tom Brady. We ain't gonna get into that. Our number two is Matthew Stafford, sitting at 2,477 yards.
Ooh, okay.
Now, our rushing leader, your boy, Derrick Henry, is sitting at 937 yards, the closest being Jonathan Taylor at 649. I think he's getting that running title this year, hands down. Man. Now, receiving leaders. The number one wide receiver this year has been Cooper Kupp for the Rams. Now, we go to the other side of the ball. Defensive leaders. Not a lot of people are talking about him. Everyone talks about Watt. Everyone talks about Garrett. I know this is going to put a smile on your face, brother. Harold Landry III, baby. Yeah. He is tied for second in sacks at 8.5 this season. Been balling out, doing his thing. Yes. Now there's one more name on this defense. I know you know, but I'm just gonna say it anyway.
Hey,
coming in as second in interceptions. You got our boy Kevin Byard, also on the Titans. So there are leaders across the NFL for both of these teams. What an exciting matchup. What do you think, man? What's going on here?
Oh, man, I was so excited for this matchup until I got hit with the most devastating news that luckily the Braves win actually helped me recover from. Much like my boy Derek, I was kind of in a state when I found this news out where I was almost like, kind of like Derek with his Eagles. I was like, oh, man. Now I got to say, throw the NFL away and just focus on basketball for the rest of the year. Oh, man. Losses are tough, but when you lose a guy like Henry, oh, man, that's the ultimate devastation because that's just like, man, he's such a beast. He's so exciting to watch, man. And the fact that he's not there now means it's a blessing in disguise a little bit because it now gives Tannehill a chance to kind of get some respect on his name a little bit, show people what he can do throwing the football. Now, I know what you're thinking. Well, hey, you guys got a nice freak of nature in his own right, veteran signed to your crew. Young AP, right? Man, I don't know how to feel about that because I'm like, AP keeps himself in wonderful shape. I know he's a workout warrior. I know the man was at one point in time exactly what Derrick Henry is, one of the greatest running backs, arguably of all time, future Hall of Famer. I mean, need I say more about this guy? We know he was a guy at one point in time you did not, just like Henry, you didn't want to get in Adrian Peterson's way because believe me, you were going to feel his wrath too. And he's nowhere near the size of a man like Henry, but he definitely has a build very similar. And I'm looking at the signing and I'm saying, okay, that's cute. That's cool. But will it really be enough to even come close to replacing anything that Henry brought to the table? I don't think so. But you know what? I'm praying that somehow they surprised me with this run game. By adding Peterson to the mix, hopefully they surprise me. But there's a part of me right now that looks at this and I'm saying, okay, I'm split. I'm very split because this Henry news has me saying we're gonna lose this game now, right? But there's another part of me that says usually when a player goes down, it's the next man up. That's what I love about football. It's the next man up mentality. And usually when your guy goes down, sometimes in basketball, because it's more of an individual sport, that devastates you. And the team starts to just sink. In football, though, it's not always the case, but in football, usually when your guy goes down, the rest of the team seems to just rile up and say, okay, you know what? We're going to play for that guy because we know he wants to be here and we want him here, but he can't be here. And if he could be, we know what we would do. So we're going to do everything we can to try to rile up and play for this guy. So my mind is saying, actually, no, my heart is saying, based off of what happened with the Chiefs, we were counted out against the Chiefs, we pummeled them. We were counted out against the Bills. Jonathan, I love you. You're my boy, but you know this. We were counted out against the Bills. We had a slugfest with you guys, but we beat them. All right? We beat them. Despite everybody who thought it would be a blowout or whatever. We beat them. And then there's the Colts, which I ain't gonna lie. I picked against my own squad against the Colts because I know our struggles in divisional games with the Colts. They're that one team we have a hard time with in their turf. You know, I knew we had beat them earlier in the season, but I was like, okay, well, we're on their turf now. And sometimes we struggle in Indy playing them. But man, boy, it was a dogfight. But when I saw that match, I was like, wow, we pulled that off too. 3 straight. But with streaks always come to an end. And this is one of those things where I'm wondering, my heart says we'll win, but my mind is saying, with the combination of this devastating news and coming off 3 straight wins like that, will you be gassed out? Or will you step up to the plate and say, bring them on again, like a typical Rocky style type of fight? I'm pretty sure we're the underdogs in this thing, that's for sure. So as a ride or die, I'm not going to do like my boy Derek would do, because I could easily just say, you know, Rams, you're going to run us over. But you know what? Even with Derrick Henry gone, I think we'll be all right. I may regret this next week, but you know what? My squad has shown me 3 straight weeks now. When they're counted against, they get that win somehow, and they do it. So I'm picking my Titans to somehow pull this off against those mighty Rams. And I think it'll be similar to their matchup with Arizona in a way. When it was like, you didn't expect that there. You didn't expect that there. And you know what? At any given, Mike Tyson always says it. Everybody got a plan so they get punched in the mouth, right? Well, I think this is one of them cases where we're going to give them a real big punch to the mouth. And they're not going to expect it. Kind of like what we did to the Chiefs, but maybe not as that dramatic. I do know they're going to score some points. They're going to score a lot of points. Mm-hmm. I can see this being a high-scoring game, surprisingly to people, though, where they're going to be like, I didn't expect the Titans offense to do this. Mm-hmm. And I think Titans defense will get a few turnovers, but they're still going to get a lot of points hung on them. There is no doubt in my mind about that. But I do know this team is going to fight some kind of way, and I think they're going to pull this off. So I got my Titans for the win on this.
I love it, man. You brought me this close to joining with you, man. I'm inspired, bro. I'm ready to rock. I'm so close to agreeing with you, man. But unfortunately, I don't got the heart for it, man. I got to go with the Rams in this one, and here's why.
Yeah.
I know I laid out all those beautiful stats that your guys are doing, especially on the defensive end of the ball, which a lot of people don't give you guys credit for. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna be real here, and not a lot of people understand this. Stats don't always tell the picture, and I think this team defensively has had a lot of issues, regardless of having outstanding performers.
Mm-hmm.
There's been a lot of problems on the defensive side of the ball, and I
I
think
agree.
against this team, you're gonna have some trouble, especially if you're already having those issues before you face them.
Mm-hmm.
But I could see a situation where, like you said, where you guys come out like the Cardinals did, and you're getting pressures, and he's feeling the heat back there, and
Mm-hmm.
before you know it, you guys are up a couple points. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
But I agree. I think this one is going to be a lot closer than people think. Thank you also for reminding me. I completely forgot that Derrick
Mm-hmm.
Henry is out for the rest of the season, man. Hopefully he heals up all good. I would
Yeah.
say, man, generational talent,
Mm-hmm.
generational athlete. If you just look at the physique of the man, I would say it makes sense that it would be something like this
Mm-hmm.
because it ain't gonna be a standard. Like, it's not like he's gonna have a torn bicep. It's not like he's gonna have something like that. Like, it's
Yeah.
gonna be one of the wheels that are gonna fall off because he's just such a physical force.
Mm-hmm.
That in a way you're almost putting those parts of your body to the test every game because of
Yeah.
how much of a monster you are.
Yeah.
You're putting yourself in the position to end up in bad spots with your feet, with your
Yeah.
hands,
Yeah.
with the knees.
Yeah.
But man, I hope he recovers up well. Hope it all goes smoothly. But I gotta go with the Rams in this one.
I like that, brother, and I'm right there with you. I'm hoping the same thing. I do wish a speedy recovery for King Henry, and when I found out about the injury, because it was such a shock, because it was like, I knew when I saw his stats, I was like, okay, the Colts know him and they know we can't let him get off. So maybe it was just one of those things where they focused on him. It was what it was. I didn't, but out here they didn't really show the game. I didn't get to see it till it got real close in the overtime when they showed it. Had to watch it through red zone and all of that. So I had no clue. They didn't show anything where it looked like he got hurt, nothing. And next thing I know, a couple days later, I'm watching ESPN First Take because I want to see what they say. Because with that Bengals loss, I realized I was like, wait a minute, we're number one in the AFC. Hey, I'll take that, And then this Henry news came out, and it was just like, great. Oh man, are you serious?
Mm-hmm.
So again, it may be a motivational factor when you sit number one in the AFC. As a team, you see that and you say, we're in a good position right now. And when you see a loss like that, it can only motivate you more to go that much harder from there. And it's one of the things where if you take that in account and you take this matchup in account, it's a true David versus Goliath thing. I wish we had Henry because I'd feel that much more confident. But I'm still gonna ride with my squad for this, as said before, where we shall see how this plays out. If they mop the floor with us, that's all right. I'm totally fine with that because I'll be like, look, we didn't have our best player. I know they're going to focus solemnly on AJ Brown and possibly Julio if he ends up playing this week. Those are the only two brothers I can rely on right now, but we'll see what AP does because he's been gone for a minute now.
Mm-hmm.
He may sneak up on some people. I don't know.
Rejuvenated AP is not a man to mess with. I'm just saying.
You never know, man. We are talking about a guy who once upon a time was the greatest, and he had some longevity with that too. So all that time away, he's rested. He keeps himself in shape. You never know, man. This guy could show people. I mean, we've resurrected running backs before. We did that with DeMarco Murray. The guy named DeMarco Murray did that once. So, hey, y'all, just don't be surprised if the old AP shows himself and it's like, whoa, back up. What's going on here?
Legit.
We might be that much more dangerous now, where it's like, okay, wait, they ain't got King Henry, but they got a guy who once upon a time was just as great as him. So I don't know. But I reserve my judgment till next week. We shall see.
Yes, sir. And now finally to wrap it all up, on Monday night extravaganza, we got the Bears at the
Oh, God.
Steelers. At the Steelers.
Oh,
What a game. What a game.
he's
I'm gonna have to go with the Steelers in this one, as much as I hate to admit it. They're doing much better than they have the first 3 games of the season. Look almost like a completely different team.
mhm,
Love that they've been able to get their run game going.
mhm,
Fix up some issues on the line as far as run protection. Pass
mhm.
protection still needs all the help it can get, but that's a conversation for another day.
Yeah.
I think this can be a game where it can rely entirely on defense if the
Mhm.
Steelers don't come out and do what they need to do. But I can't bank on that. Like I said, you can't trust defense first teams in this league. I'm going with the Steelers in this one at home, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if the Bears kept it close and ended up edging it out then.
Yeah. I am totally. What can I say, man? I'm gonna go with the Bears. The Bears are
Woo,
obviously gonna win this game, right?
woo,
Don't take me
woo.
serious. Don't take me serious, people. No, no, heck no. I had to pull one of my numbers like Derek and Chris, man. Y'all get me with that all the time. Y'all literally get me with the sarcastic picks. Of course, I'm going with the Steelers, man. Like, is this even really a matchup? Like, this is one of those again where you just like, do we even really have to go over this? Like,
Yep.
by default, this has to be the Steelers, right? I mean, if they lose a
Mhm.
game like this, it's good for you and your Ravens,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sure, right? But if they lose a game like this to the Bears, just throw the season away, Steelers, at that point.
Take your
Improvement or
terrible
not,
towels and toss them.
toss the season because you lost
Yeah,
to the Bears. Like, you can't on Monday night football at that. You can't lose to the Bears on Monday Night Football, bro.
I agree. I
So
agree.
you better win, Steelers. But hey,
Hmm.
I'm picking them. I'm
Yep.
going with it.
You got the support of the steel curtain. Hopefully it works out, man. What a week, man. Thank you so much for coming on. I think this was great, dude. We did our thing. I can't wait to see how these picks play out.
Yes.
I just wanted to quickly say, shout out to our boy Derek, man. Can't wait to have you back. Also wanted to mention here, I just gotta say it because he's whipping my ass, man. This is the current standings right now. I am 77 and 44, which is not bad at all. I just want to say, if you're tailing this show, you are making so much money. I swear, I can't do it here in New York. It's illegal. I'll
Right.
come out and say it. But if you are tailing this show and you can put in a little $20 here, $20 there, you are making some money because I'm 77 and 44 and I'm in
Mm-hmm.
second place. Dude, Derek is trashing me right now. It was a
Oh my
close
goodness.
run. It was a close run for a while there. He came up big this last week, and now he's slapping me 84-38. He's almost over 500, literally almost over 750% picking on the season. Much respect to
Yo,
Derek, dude. Both of us are killing it, but I got to give it up to him, man.
shout out to you boys, man. This is gonna be a very exciting finish to see. Still a lot of football left to go, so it's gonna be
Hmm.
interesting to see how this really finishes out. You got me on the edge of your seats, man. I mean, hey, it feels good to be in the picks chair for once and actually, who knows? I may pop back up on y'all to see how I did this week. I don't know. I'm just
Yes,
I'm just a fill
sir.
in. I'm a fill in today, but you know what? We'll see. All in all, thank you guys so much for having me. I want to shout out everybody that's watching, that's listening, that's shared. For those of you who watched on Facebook Live, man, continue to share. Continue to follow all things OTS at OTS Media Co. On Twitter, on Instagram. Follow OTS Media Co. pretty much everywhere. Subscribe to the YouTube. It's always content. We appreciate you guys so much for everything you do. I know Derek always says this for sure. So yeah, man, I'm just here to emphasize and fit in where I get in, all
Yes,
that good stuff.
sir. You can't forget your socials though. So please
Oh,
share with the people
yes.
where they can find your great stuff.
For sure, man. Listen, man, you can follow me at Dwayne Dickey Jr. on Instagram, or if you're into music, I'm an artist in my spare time when I'm not doing stuff like this. Follow me at Highlight HILITE Life. If you into rap, man, you want to check out some stuff, freestyles for days I put on there for y'all. Just keeping the content alive. But more importantly, man, follow Life's a Botch podcast for all my wrestling fans out there. Your boy puts in a lot of work, man. when I'm doing stuff, not just here, but doing stuff for the wrestling community, man. We got interviews. My last interview was with hardcore legend Raven. So if you're a fan of Raven or you remember Raven from back in the day, man, check out that interview. That was one of our most recent interviews. And we're just working on more content, getting more interviews, getting more stuff out. So Life's a Botch podcast. You can follow us on Instagram and TikTok because we actually have a TikTok. So Life's a Botch podcast. We're going to give y'all some fun, creative TikToks as much as possible. So y'all stay tuned there, man. But y'all already know where to find your boy, man. So I want to see y'all interact with your boy.
Yes, sir. Reach out, do what you got to do. I'm going to drop mine too. You can catch me at Negron MMA on Twitter and also at Chris Negron _ on Instagram. Please also check out my pod, man. I got the MMA archive coming every Friday. We got Friday Night Fights, baby.
Yes.
Where we cover MMA history back from day one, and we're looking through to see how the sport has evolved and pointing out any little thing I can so that you guys could catch the best moments and best fights from those nights. And you don't have to watch the ones where I'm literally painting myself to get through, just talking about it. That's how boring they are. But the exciting ones, I remind you, and I'll send you those links. I got you ready to watch those. So check out the MMA archive. We got stuff coming every week, and I'm just excited to be a part of it, man. So, man, Derek, you were missed. It's going to be great to have you back when you're back. But this was a special one, man. I had a lot of fun with you, man. Good to have you on, brother. And I hope you have a good one, man. You guys stay fly. And you already know we are doing our thing here on this show. And if you're following, you doing good too. You doing good too. I'm just saying.
Hey, y'all the real MVPs at the end of the day, man. Y'all know that. You know, we appreciate y'all listens, y'all shares, y'all interaction, everything, man. So please continue to support my boy Chris over here with everything he's doing with the MMA archive. And of course, right here on the Sideline Guys, because you original OG Sideline Guys fans, y'all know all the reconstruction it's gone through. But y'all see, man, it's back, it's consistent, it's better than ever. And the picks, you're getting your stats, you're getting your picks, you're getting your facts, you're getting it all. So make sure y'all continue to support my boys. They're doing their thing. And one more plug. Don't forget, if you like your sports as well, for you Sideline Guys, people that love, if you're a Sideline Guys faithful person, make sure you catch Derek and myself and our boy Rick Sincere also with Debate Fuel, because, you know, any subjects we don't get to cover on Sideline Guys, we typically try to get it over there on Debate Fuel as much as possible. Debate Fuel is just the best of both worlds. We take MTMV sports and OTS sports and we merge them together and let them do their thing. Very dope, very entertaining. If you like what you get with Skip Bayless and Shannon, if you like what you get with, Stephen A doesn't really have a partner anymore. At this point, it's just rotating in and out. So at the end of the day, if you like that drama, if you like that charisma in your drama, hey, come check out Debate Fuel when you can. But again, always tune in for Sideline Guys. Love what they do. Love what you guys do, brother. And it was fun, man. I felt great to be back in the Sideline Guys seat again, man. So I'll try to be back for sure. But Derek, it's all you, brother. You got the reins, man. I enjoyed it, but I'm always here when you need me, man. Appreciate that.
Yes, sir. Beautiful, beautiful sign off, man. You guys have a great one. See you all next week. Let's keep getting these dubs. Have a good one, you guys.